extraordinary. What do you want just an American audience to know? What do you want to tell us that I haven't asked, or that, this is your chance to, is it, do you want to say something about French craft identity, about your practice, is, your legacy? I mean, what that you wish, as you wish it to be? What would you want us to know?
I think it's really important to make all this craftsmanship and to make all this transmission. It's really, really important, because we are nearly ready to lose it. Mm-hmm. So we really need, and now we can see that a lot of people, because when you work in this kind of work, it gives you le sens de la vie. Your life get a sense. Mm-hmm. You are not running after money all the time and headache every time when you go to bed. You work with your hand. You try to make something the most pretty as you could. So when, like we were this morning at the National Gallery, when you live with art around you, it makes you peaceful. Mm-hmm. Your head, you go and you go in the thing, and you don't think about yourself all the day long. And I think when you live with peace like that, it makes you, because it brings in your life poesy. You feel that there is a lot of people work around one piece, and this piece is complete, in fact. Mm. Mm.
That's poetic and lovely.
I think we could ask Olivier, because Olivier knows very well my work, and you are here because yes. He will say that he's here just to see if I am pretty.
No, just to conclude with what Valérie said, that it's true that there is a moment right now. I think it's a trend, but it's perhaps more global, of a great awareness about what we should transmit to the next generation, about perhaps more solid values than many of the contemporary values, and definitely the question of craftsmanship and design is really on the top of many of the concerns today, and I think that's also why it's something which is very strong about it, because I love the comparison you make with fashion, this moment of slow made, and
yes.
The question of choice, which is not a question of hierarchy, but perhaps only about priority hierarchy, to be more focused on some field and some question, and not to make sort of inviting your spirits to very superficial things. And that's true that in France, which was for a long time a great country, for a great nation, and there is very great specific moments. We talk about Souma at the Musée National. The Musée National is today in charge of the Gobelin manufactory, which is obviously the best things created in terms of decorative arts in the 17th century. But you have also what happened in Paris in the 18th century, with the Marchand Mercier, where people like Valérie, artistic director, well, not especially designer, but put together different people to say, I want something new, I want to push you to find something different, because we want something which is different and set a new taste. We can be in the 1920s with the Art Deco, pushing the boundaries in terms of craftsmanship and taste and style, and trying to, discover a new world. I think that for me as an art historian and a museum person, that's why when I met Valérie 12 years ago, even more, I was quite, surprised and amazed, because as we talk about industrial design, but for people, object as another reality, concrete object as another reality, object you buy, you throw, you put to garbage, you don't care. And I think I was very surprised, because what Valérie proposed is so far away from certain concrete values, if you can call them values. And for an art historian, it's very strong to see that it's really also revived a sort of genealogy of objects. So for me, that's interesting that great manufacturers like Aubusson or the Multinational ask Valérie to be part of their own life and adventure, because it's a way to, what I feel like very unconsciously, like, wow, is this kind of genealogy, and she's part of that. But she's really part of that, because the actor of today very naturally takes their phone and say, would you consider to, do a project? You did a wonderful ensemble for the Multinational of a desk and chairs and armchairs and so on. That's interesting, because Multinational is also in the heritage of such a long history, in terms of process and creativity. So I think that's really interesting to see that really that's this moment where so many things converge, slow made. I love the fact that you say that designer of craftsmanship. I was very often asked to be in jury and so on. Sometimes you're wonderful craftsmen and women who are incredible skilled, but at the end of the day, what they are producing is absolutely out of interest, because they have no sense of artistic, creativity. And sometimes you have wonderful designer who has absolutely no sense of the materials they will use and they don't get it, and it's quite interesting. And I think that today you have what Valérie is doing is really embodying the best of the past, bringing it really in something which is contemporary. I'm happy enough to be friends with this lady, so I very often go for dinner in her home. You are surrounded by all these objects. You don't feel that the objects are like you live with them, they're welcoming. It shows you that you can live also with, great object, artistic object. And I think that's interesting, because it's something that Hector Guimard did and wanted to do, something that Woolman wanted to do, something, and typically they did. Or in the 17th century and the 18th century, great artists did. It was not for, only about museum very early assess the importance of this work, for sure, but what's important for me, it's not only about museum. It's about, art at the highest sense of the word.
And I'm very struck, because as somebody who teaches a lot about sustainable design, you're really describing sustainable design, where you don't have lots of mass-produced things that are wasted, ultimately thrown in garbage, but a few things that are meaningful, well-loved, and embraced.
Yeah.
And also, even if I would, I want to make 10 tapestry a year, it's impossible.
No.
There is no hand to do it.
How will you, I guess this would be the final question, how will you ensure then this continuity of understanding that you are producing with your practice? I mean, how will you make sure that the craftsmen retain their skill and pass it down to your daughters, even, or the next generation? I mean, will you form workshops? Do you have a vision for that?
I will answer because I have a distance, because she's inside of it. So I will like more like an observer. I think what's interesting with YMER&MALTA is that it's showing and proving to a larger audience that it is possible. Whatever time and energy it takes, it is possible. And you can transmit and you can show and display and experience that to a new generation. But I think it's also very important is that when you do it in a contemporary way today, that brings something very different for a younger audience. So there we are talking about transmission. And I can say that, what is quite powerful with the example of Valérie is that also that it really brings reality to a slow change of mind around specifically the French society. But the fact that, métier d'art, craft, this kind of object produced with French craftsmen, French material, and with an openness to everything happening in Japan, America, Sweden, whatever. It's a deep change of mind. 20 years ago, the kid would have come to see his parents to say, I would like to be a craftsman, I would like to do marquetry. People would have said, no way. Go back to university, become a lawyer and a doctor. And that's true. And today, thanks to people like Valérie, and also, I would say, because we are also at a place full of many fields, art, a certain idea of what is luxury when it's really luxury. We don't talk about, low-key brands, but really luxury. Because all this, I think about Hermes, bringing young people into the materiality of a professional experience and apprenticeship, but also, job, change a lot of the difference. And not today, a kid comes to see you and say, I would like to work on leather because I saw a wonderful collection at Malta. And I think the parents will say, of course,
yes,
fantastic,
but for
let's do
sure.
that. And that's a big change because in France for a long time, I'm sure that's the same everywhere, but especially in Western society, because of Japanese friends have very different attitude about it. For example, say that you have intellectual work or very lucrative work and so on. I think that deeply you have a kind of value that even the French government tried to develop because craftsmen, that's why you take your car so much. They are not in big cities. They are all around the territories. And it's something you can export your work, but you cannot export the job. You know what I mean? So that means that what makes sense that it's here. So it's both global and local. And at a moment where a country like France asks itself so much question about, what mean territories, or you try to struggle again, desert inside the country where you have nothing, 50 kilometers around. That's also because there is people like Valérie who say, okay, I want this carpenter, I want this weaver in Aubusson. When you go to Aubusson, it's really deep France. And what we need is people, and we need this kind of person to ask these people to move forward and to achieve something very new, because it brings another vision of our societies. So it's deeper, even deeper.
Yes, and I can tell you an example of that, because the director of Aubusson, La Cité de la Tapisserie, is really a man who makes things moving. That's why he came to me, entre autres. And now, when I start this collection, there is just one hotel. And the town was so sad. And now there is 3 hotels. Because this craftsmanship becoming again known as it not as it was for the moment before, but becoming something that people want to see. And when, for example, wood marquetry, when I start my collection wood marquetry, people could not believe that the color of the wood was a real color. They were sure that I tinted the color. And I said, no, I spent so much time to find the right veneers to go with the another, to have no vein in the veneers to make things happen, to not destroy the draw. But people say, no, it's not possible. So they have to learn, they have to understand. And now look, people go to the Museum of Aubusson, and it was totally in the past.
I love hearing that. I just thank you so much for
you very much,
your practice, your vision, for being here in Washington, D.C.
Thank you very much.
I look forward to tomorrow. And Olivier, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivier.
You did that on your notes.
Yeah.